Jeff, hi Jeff Barkoff. Jeff owns Service Master Clean here in town, and the gentleman that owned the company before him was a client of mine. And he's a massive owl. George Hackler is his name. And he's one of these guys who's getting ready to hire my company. He wanted to increase his sales because he wanted to sell it. He wanted to sell it to somebody like Jeff. But he knew he had to get his sales up to get the price of the business up. And the only way to do that is generate sales and get customers. So he wanted a year-and-a-half plan. So we had him on a year-and-a-half plan. But we were trying to get through the contract to get the deal done. And so I had him looking at the information. I said, okay, so you ready to sign it? He says, well, you know, I need to go home and think about this and that. We went through 8 contract changes, 8 of them. What do you think I'm doing inside? Oh, yeah, I'm going, can this guy just make a decision? What's his problem? You know, on the second time, on the third time, on the fourth time, I'm like, can you just make a decision? The 5th time, the 6th time. But what I remembered was it's not about me, it's about him. It's not based on my personality type, it's about his personality type. So I stayed with it, 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 stayed with it. On the 8th visit, I'm in a room with him. He says, I'm about ready to sign it, but he says, do me a favor. And he breaks out his laptop. He says, I was up all night doing this Excel spreadsheet to make sure I could pay you. Could you help me go through this? And inside I'm going, no, I don't want to. But on the outside I'm going, hey, I'd love to. Let's go ahead and do that. Yeah, let's look it through. So I spent the time and went through it. He signed the agreement. Make a long story short, we got his business increased so much within a year rather than a year and a half that he sold it earlier than he wanted to. He gave me a $10,000 bonus. I needed a letter from the governor, and I got a letter from the governor because he knew him personally. The next day he called him when I was in his office. You know, on and on and on. I could tell you other stories that this guy's done for me because he knows so many people in town. But that's somebody I would have never had that connection with, and I would have never made that. It was a $50,000 sale for me, too. So it worked out to be $60,000. But I could have walked away from that very easy because I was getting frustrated inside because of my personality type. Do you see how that paid off? But you got to learn to do that. If you're in sales, it's not about you, it's about them. You got to keep telling yourself, I got to understand it's them, it's them, it's them. Because then I'm going to make that sale. I'm going to ultimately get what I want anyways. It just might take a little bit longer. It might be a different approach than I want. But the ultimate thing that's going to happen is I'm going to make the sale or make that connection.